Oh, fantastic. That's exciting. I appreciate you coming on with me today. I just love speaking with women who we all have different journeys and different walks in life. And so it's great to be able to share and to be able to talk through different things that we've been through who might help someone who's listening, or it might even help ourselves, talk through some things, especially with birth. Some things are very special, or some, our differences in the things that we went through. You never know what you'll find out about yourself when you're able to talk. And so I really just enjoy hearing other people's stories.
I'm really excited to share.
And I don't have a ton of questions. Usually I just kind of give you the floor. Tell us about yourself, about your journey, and, your experience.
So we actually just moved to the area. We came from New Mexico, where both of my babies were born. I have a 3-year-old boy and then a 4-month-old girl. And both of them were born in New Mexico. My son was born in a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I was pregnant with him, that just that's what I thought the standard was. Oh, you go to the hospital to have your babies,
Mm-hmm, like that's routine. Like a lot of us, especially around here, I don't know if you could tell, but that's a lot of it. That's just like normal,
Yeah. That's what the safest thing is.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I found out I was pregnant, me and my husband were in the middle of moving. So he had just graduated college and we went up north, and the town that we were living in is a smaller town, and their hospital wasn't taking new pregnant patients. So we ended up having to go to a hospital 40 minutes away for all of the appointments. And this was at the start of COVID.
Wow. I know that must have not been easy.
Oh, it was all really stressful, but it worked out.
Oh, great.
And so, the entire pregnancy with my son was just amazing and perfect. He was healthy. I was healthy. And then we go in for my 38-week appointment, and that was on a Friday. And my midwife was like, okay, well, you could have him tomorrow, you could have him 2 weeks from now.
Mm-hmm.
And I really had a feeling he was going to be born on the 5th, which was the next day.
Wow.
And after hearing that, I'm like, man, he's not going to come when I want him to come, and was just feeling really defeated about it. Well, my water ends up breaking at midnight. I remember looking at the clock. It was like 12:05 a.m. on September 5th, which is the day I wanted him to be born. So he knew what he was doing. So my water broke, and we get ready to get to the hospital. I call them, and they're like, just hang out till contractions start to get more consistent, and then come on in. Well, being first-time parents, we're like, we don't want to have the baby on the side of the road. We've got a bit of a drive ahead of us. We should get there early so we can, get into the room and get settled. So we get to the hospital, and they get us up to our room, and I'm laboring. And I think I didn't learn this until recently, when I was pregnant with my second, is apparently they gave me Pitocin to help speed along the contractions.
So you didn't know when you went in with your son that's what they did?
Nope.
Oh, interesting. They didn't even inform you. That's interesting.
And, and they might have, and I could have just,
There was a lot going on.
Yeah. But I was annoyed to find that out. And it's like, okay, I didn't want Pitocin. I wanted to do this all natural. From the very beginning, I didn't want an epidural. I didn't want any interventions.
I understand.
So I had no epidural. They, of course, did like the IVs and stuff, which was fine. But the thing that, looking back, I think bothered me the most about the hospital birth is I was very determined not to stay on my back. And I ended up staying on my back the entire time anyway.
Bless your heart. And I know how hard that is.
Yeah, that's like the hardest position to give labor in.
Right, because
So
you're working against gravity, not with gravity. So everything seems like it's stalling or not progressing. And you're like, can we just get on with the show?
yeah, and so we got to the hospital at like four in the morning, and by 4:40 in the afternoon he was born.
Okay.
I spent like an hour pushing, and I mean it wasn't a bad birth, but it wasn't 100% what I wanted.
I understand that. And that's hard as a mom because I think we go in wanting things a certain way and then we get a little upset. And so it's okay if things don't go the way we plan. But I know that going forward, I know with your second birth, I'm sure that you had a little bit more things you were able to say, hey, this is what I want, you know?
Yeah. And another thing about the hospital birth is like they kept us there longer than I feel like we needed to be. And as a first time mom, I didn't really know how to advocate for myself.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, the midwives are great, but they don't really like help you.
Right.
They're there to, push the baby out and move on to the next woman pushing a baby out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the whole hospital system, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got pregnant with my second one, we went back to the same hospital because they had all my records. I knew the midwives there. Mm-hmm. I thought it'd be easy. So we go through all 37 weeks of my pregnancy seeing them. And then 2 days before I had my next appointment, they call and say, oh, we have to cancel. The midwife on call for that day is sick, and we're going to be rescheduling and reshuffling patients. So we'll just see you at your next appointment, which was really frustrating because I was supposed to get the strep B test done at this appointment.
Right.
So I was like, okay, you're canceling on me very last minute when I have a pretty important test that needs to be done. What the heck?
On top of, you had your son at 38 weeks, so I know you were thinking, if we're anywhere close, I would like to have that peace of mind.
Exactly, yeah. And the whole second pregnancy, I was convinced that she was going to come as early as her brother did. Told me once. I was super wrong on that. So I decided, funny enough though, God knew what he was doing. He put everything in place at the right time. I was talking to a friend about this who had just had a home birth. And she was just telling me how great it was to be able to, have the baby at home and then go tuck her son in for bed. And I was like, man, that sounds really nice. And so she gave me the contact information for her midwife. And when I called her midwife, she was like, I would love to, but I'm going to be taking vacation that month. But here's a contact of mine. And so my daughter's name is Lucille, and we call her Lucy.
I love that name. That's beautiful.
Thank you. And the midwife, her name was Lucy.
Oh, it was meant to be.
It was so meant to be. And so we had an appointment with Lucy at 37 weeks. And I was like, hey, will you take me on as a super late patient that could have her baby any day now?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, yeah, we can make that work. So I was really thankful for that. And the whole pregnancy with my daughter was just super healthy, super fine. If anyone was fit for a home birth, it would be me. It just, no issues the entire pregnancy, which I'm really thankful for.
That is fantastic. That's so exciting.
I'm very blessed to have super healthy pregnancies and super healthy babies.
Well, praise the Lord. I'm so happy to hear that. That's great when you hear about a home birth and everything going great. And so then you send that positivity to someone else who might be listening and be on the fence about it.
Yeah, doing the home birth was the best decision of my life. And there's no way in heck I could ever go back to giving birth at a hospital if I can help it.
I love that. What was, if you were to say, what were I'd say the three best key things that you really loved about your home birth?
So, especially if this is a not your first kid, it's great because I got to be at home with my son when he woke up that morning.
Oh, that's precious.
I got to be in control. I got to control the positions. I ended up doing a water birth, which is like, I think, the best way to give birth. It just, the way it relieved the pressure. And
That's amazing. I love that for you.
I take one thing back. My only complaint about my second pregnancy is my prodromal labor. I had false labor for 2 whole weeks.
I believe that the more you have, the worse that is. I can relate. I had that with my 5th, and you think you're going to go into labor, and then you don't. And I know how frustrating that is.
Contractions would start up at night, and by the morning, they would just die down.
Kind of gets you excited, too. You're like, I guess we're ready. Okay. And then you're not.
Yep. And so we were just waiting around for 2 weeks. My mother-in-law, bless her heart, was living with us for 2 weeks before the baby even came. I'm so grateful for her that she was there to take care of Liam. And the day that we decided to do a home birth was the day that she was traveling to us. And so I told her when she got there that night, hey, we're doing a home birth. Hope that's okay. She took it great. And so my daughter's her due date was the September 23rd. And I was expecting her to come early September. No, she lasted until the 20th.
Oh, she just wasn't ready yet. You know, she's a girl. She has a lot of preparing to do.
She certainly did. She had a lot of growing to do. She, between 37 and 39 weeks, she just popped. I guess I popped. She grew a lot. Let's see. So, onto the actual birth. My midwife came over Tuesday the 19th to check on me and see how we were doing. She wanted me to do one last ultrasound, make sure everything looked good. I was leaking, and we thought it might have been amniotic fluid, and we're still not sure if it was or wasn't, but it didn't look like it. Which, again, all of that false labor just really messes with your head.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the 19th, I had an ultrasound. You could tell in the ultrasound, my daughter looked angry. Just her face was all scrunched, and she was just like, get me out of here, Mom. And so we just spent the rest of that day just relaxing. And then that morning, my midwife did a membrane sweep. And I think that really started things up.
Yeah.
Because at that point I was done. I'm like, please just get this kid out of me. She was big. I was uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so she did the membrane sweep. And by 10 p.m. that evening, contractions had started. And once again, at midnight, my water broke.
You have a trend you like to follow.
I do. Let's see how it continues. This time it was in bed. So I would recommend getting a really good mattress protector.
Yeah, just for those few weeks.
Exactly. You never know when it's going to happen. So my water broke in bed. My bed is not stained.
Yay.
And so I called the midwife, and she had a 40-minute drive. She got there in 25 minutes.
Oh, she was excited. She knew baby number 2. You never know how quick that's going to go.
Yep. So water broke. I got in the tub about 1 p.m. And for this birth, I had my midwife. My midwife had a second midwife, so they were a team. And then I had a doula. I would recommend a doula. Their doulas are super great.
That's fantastic because I haven't, I don't believe I've had anyone on the podcast yet who had a doula. And if I have, I'm mistaken, but I do, since I do doula work, I do love to just educate people. They're different than midwives, but they are the support that you didn't know you needed until you have one kind of thing.
Yeah, I definitely plan on using a doula again. Oh, you still there?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. I have 5 children, so I sometimes mute it just in case the baby gets a little crazy upstairs.
Oh, don't you worry. I understand that.
I figured you did.
So water broke at midnight. I got into the tub at around 1, and that was really nice. And then I really loved this birth because I was able to just be so in tune with my body, and it just being able to just feel the contractions and feel when I needed to push. And keep in mind, this was at 1 a.m. The kid Liam is sleeping, my mother-in-law is sleeping, and birth can be kind of loud.
Yeah.
But I mean, apparently, everything. All I heard was the music in the background. Put on some of my favorite Christian songs and just listened to those, and really just focused on the breath, and just I've never been more in tune with my body.
And I love that you said that, because the home births that I've seen or been a part of, there's so much there's so much calmness in the air.
Yeah. It was dark, mood lighting, everything was good to go. And the midwife was like, I think you can start pushing now. I was like, oh, I am. And just very low moaning grunts of just get out. And I mean, I was only pushing for like an hour.
Fantastic.
And so I thought, yeah, there's no way I could go back to hospital birth after having such an amazing experience. She came out perfect and healthy. I had 0 complications afterwards. The delivery was fast. I mean, yeah, birth hurts, but it wasn't like exceptionally painful.
Especially after having birth and then not having the Pitocin before. That's a huge difference in the pain scale also, and the intensity of the contractions too.
Yeah. Yeah, and everything happened so naturally, and my body was meant to birth babies.
That is beautiful. That is a beautiful way to put it. And the storytelling from the beginning, when you started out about your son's birth in the hospital to the second birth, it seems like we just kind of blissed into some graceful, story to where, in the beginning you were uncomfortable, and now you were in control and you were at peace with what was going on around you. And it was beautiful. And I absolutely love that.
I think my favorite part about giving birth at home, at least in my case, is my mother-in-law woke up to use the bathroom, and she opened the door and she could hear me screaming because Lucy was, bringing a fire. Her head was starting to come out.
Right.
So my poor mother-in-law stuck into the bathroom, used the bathroom, and by the time she came out, it was quiet and she could hear the baby crying.
Oh, that's beautiful. Love that. That's special. That first moment. That's so great.
So she got to come out and peek her head and see the baby. And then she just went right back to bed, and Liam didn't wake up. He was completely oblivious. He woke up, then the midwife and everyone left about 4 a.m. And Liam woke up at about 6:30. And we brought him into our room and we're like, look who's here. And it just is so special to just be in bed when he woke up. And I'm really looking forward to future babies when I can, include my kids with, what they're comfortable with being around for the birth and delivery.
And that's great, because I know he got to go do his own thing, after 5 minutes, but he knew that you were home, you were safe, and you were happy. And I love that.
Exactly.
Well,
I can't imagine how hard it is, parents leave to the hospital to give birth and then come back with a baby. And the older kids are just like, whoa.
That's a big shift. That's a whole new human being. And they live there too. That's kind of crazy, but I love that.
I'm really blessed, and I love being able to, share my story. And especially, it's really uncommon to switch your whole birth method when you're full term.
Right.
I feel like that was one of the crazier aspects I'm 37 weeks and I can give birth anytime now. Let's just switch everything up.
And it seemed like it worked out. Like you said, God's hand was in the whole thing. He knew the steps that you needed to take. So it worked out fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. He's good at that.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time tonight to share your journey, share your story. Hopefully someone was touched by what you said, and I know that it was exciting for you to be able to tell your story. And is there anything else that you would like to say for any first-time moms or moms who might be, wondering if a home birth might be for them?
I think God made women one of our main purposes is to give birth to babies. That's like one of the things that we should be exceptionally good at. And if you just listen to your body and trust in God and trust your body knows what it's doing, you will be A-okay.
I love that. That's beautiful. I thank you so much for sharing that with me and with everyone else. And
Brianna, thank you so much for having me on.
Of course, I've been excited. I've been excited to talk to you, and I have some more women coming on telling me about their home births, and home births are not very common from where I'm from. So I just saw one of my first ones 2 weeks ago that I was a doula, and it changed my life. I can't say enough good about this.
Yeah, it's my doula was a student. She had just finished her doula work, and so I was her first home birth.
Oh, how exciting.
She was one of the things that encouraged me to push the home birth, because she had one with her second. I was like, am I crazy to be doing this? And she's like, no, you're spot on.
Oh, yes.
And so I would get a doula. Doulas are there to support you and your husband.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, husbands need support too.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much again, Charlene. And I hope you have a wonderful night.
You as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.